Welcome to another episode of the Mixtape Matinee. I'm your host, Cole.
And I'm Court.
And this is our last episode of the year, guys.
Wow, what a year it has been.
It's been crazy with the podcast going, and we are just so thankful for all of those people that have listened to us. And shout out to Australia. It's the top country other than the United States with our most listeners.
Shout out to Australia.
So thanks, Australia listeners.
Thank you.
And for all the listeners here in the U.S., we appreciate you as well.
And all around the world.
Yeah. And thanks so much for I guess talking about the podcast and sharing it with the people in your lives. It helps us out a lot when you guys share the podcast. So please continue to do that if you like what we're doing, and also please rate the podcast too. That helps us out as well. But enough of that. Let's get, I guess, to the bulk of what we're going to talk about today. It's the end of the year, so me and Court decided let's do our top fives of the year, including both music and movies. Since this is what our podcast is all about, we thought we would do that. So this podcast might be a little longer, but we're excited to share kind of our favorites of 2024.
Yeah, our favorite albums and our favorite movies, not necessarily movies that were released in 2024.
Yeah, I think what we're going to do is we're going to talk mostly about the movies that we watched during 2024, and then the albums
are from 2024.
Are from 2024, like new music that were kind of our favorites. So do you want to start with the albums then, Court?
Yeah, let's do that.
Cool. I think we'll just go back and forth. For my albums, they're going to be in order of like my, I guess least favorite to favorite. Yeah. So I'm not. Or is that what you're doing with yours?
That's what I'm doing too.
Okay, cool. Are you want me to start then?
Yeah, start us out.
So my top five, and by the way, we'll make a playlist on Spotify that you can go and listen to all the music that we're going to be talking about today.
And Cole and I have not told each other beforehand.
Yeah. So
what we are going to
what we're going to talk about
reveal today.
I tried very hard. I said, Court, do not tell me anything. Okay, so for number 5, I'm going to go with the album Cometh the Storm by the band High on Fire.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, so this album was released April 19th of this year, and it was out through MNRK Heavy, the label. But this band High on Fire is fronted by the famous rocker Mike Pike, who started the doom sludge band Sleep, which a lot of people will know from the 90s. But this is kind of this is the project that he had after that band broke up. And on this record, we have Jeff Matz on bass and then Cody Willis on drums. So this is just a heavy sludge metal / kind of stoner rock album. It mixes a lot of those different genres together, and there's also the interesting thing about this album too is there's a lot of kind of Turkish folk influences.
Oh, really?
In there, yeah.
That's cool.
One of the songs actually is the song title is in Turkish, and it means dark road. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but it's the 5th song on the album.
Wow.
And the bass player on this album actually plays a traditional Turkish instrument called the baglama, I think is how you say it.
Oh, cool.
It's kind of a guitar string instrument. And then they also had another kind of an additional musician on the album play another instrument. It's a stringed instrument that you play with a bow. It's called a dilruba.
Okay.
I don't even know. I'm probably not pronouncing these at all, but that comes from India. But those kind of Middle Eastern kind of influences kind of come later in the album. But like the really harder songs, the harder stuff are at the beginning of the album. And those are probably my favorite parts of the album. My favorite song is definitely Burning Down. which was the lead single from the album. And the album artwork of this album's really cool. It kind of gives me a Frank Franzetta type of vibe. It's like this painting in the sky of this old like pirate ship, and it just looks the part, I guess, of a metal album. And I just love it because of the hard hittingness of it, and then Mike Pike's growling vocals. So if you like metal or sludge or stoner, you've probably actually, if you're a fan of those, you've probably already heard this album. But yeah, this is my top 5.
Interesting that it has the Turkish influence. I don't know if I've told you this, I think, in the past, actually, but I listen to the Turkey Top 50 when I need to study, because it's not going to distract me with English lyrics.
Oh, is that like current top 50 songs?
Yeah, on Spotify.
Oh, interesting.
And I listen to that. It's got a driving enough beat that it keeps me motivated, but it's not overwhelming. So
is it like pop music made by Turkish
It's like some
artists?
of it's pop, some of it's kind of more instrumental, some of it's, I don't know what genre you would label it, but it's
You should send me the playlist and I'll add it to the show.
Okay.
So people can check it out if they need to study.
Yeah.
All right, Court, what's your number 5?
Coming straight from the Belgium underground scene, we have Frankie Trandruppel.
Okay, sweet, yeah.
And with the album, it's a long title, Step by Step Operation Guide, 5 Years of Frankie, by Frankie Trandruppel. On this album, Frankie combines his previous EPs that he released, as well as a new song. And if you are a fan of garage punk and a lo-fi vibe, then that is possibly going to be an album that you will enjoy.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the Velvet Underground.
Yeah.
Also, and then if you haven't already, you can go back and listen to our episode where we actually talk about one of Frankie's albums.
Yeah.
We did this.
That was
earlier this year.
last year, actually.
Yeah.
The album
Castling.
was Castling, yeah. And while I like Castling a little bit more, this is a great album. It's a little bit of a longer album in terms of the number of songs on it. The song I've chosen to highlight that we'll play a little bit of is the song, let me pull it up. It is called The Darkness Comes to Town.
Making it hard to choose when the darkness comes to town. When the darkness comes to town. When the darkness comes to town. The darkness finds you.
I wanted to highlight Frankie Trandruppel because he is this hidden gem that I uncovered this year. And I was so happy when I found his music because it really is fun to listen to.
Yeah, we were planning on contacting him and maybe interviewing him.
Yeah,
but
we should.
I don't think we still haven't done that.
We should.
I know we keep talking about that, but maybe next year that could be one of our episodes.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of fun to do.
Yeah, but yeah, so definitely wanted to give him his flowers on this one and recognize him for his great work that he puts out. So
Awesome, love it. All right, my number 4 for the album, for the albums, I should say, is "Endlessness" by the artist Nala Sinfro, and I think I'm pronouncing that right. But she is also a Belgian artist. She's an experimental jazz musician that's based in London right now.
Oh, wow.
So this is her second album that she put out. She put out another album in 2021. This album was released on September 6th of 2024 through Warp Records. This was one that I did not expect that I would find. And the only reason why I found it was Morgan Simpson, who's the drummer for Black Midi and Gordy Greep, which we've already talked about on our previous episode about Jordy Greep's album, I should say. And I found out that he played drums on this album, which is cool. So it's cool because I love Morgan. He's an amazing drummer. And so that's the only reason why I checked this album out, is because I heard that. And I actually saved it in my phone because I knew, like, I have to look this album up when it drops. And I'm glad I did. This album blew me away. This album incorporates elements of jazz, but also elements of ambient type stuff.
Okay.
So it's, combining ambient and jazz together in a really interesting way. The songs are very harmonic. They're very, I want to say like modular, like they modulate between different keys. All the songs are titled Continuum and then a number next to it. So it just goes 1 to 10. So there's 10 songs on the album. And it's almost kind of like a whole kind of thought process, like a whole like stream of consciousness type of thing. So when you're listening to it, I recommend listening to it with headphones and not doing anything, just seriously just like listening to what's going on. I mean, this is an album, I guess, that you could put on and like not even pay attention to, or if you pay attention to it, you can get a lot out of it.
Really immerse yourself in it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of textures in it. She uses, and then she also incorporates a lot of electronic elements as well. And I really like this album. I don't know the other musicians that are on it. I just know that Morgan's plays drums on it, and that she does a lot of the keyboard and then electronic elements of it. But my favorite song on this album is the second song, Continuum 2. So if you're a fan of jazz or ambient music, or just you want to listen to something chill, I would definitely recommend this album.
Nice. I'm excited to check it out. So far, these are 2 albums that I have not listened to, Cole.
Yeah, I went a little different because I know a lot of we've talked about a lot of albums this year, but there were a few surprises that kind of came in that I thought this would be a good episode to talk about those that I kind of missed.
Yeah. Well, my next selection is a distinctive voice in modern folk music, Adrienne Lenker.
I love Adrienne Lenker.
Yeah, and her album is Bright Future. Now, this is a really minimalist album, just with really minimal instrumentation, and the focus is really on Adrienne Lenker's voice. There is instrumentation, don't get me wrong, but it's just really stripped back.
Is this the one where she's wearing a cowboy hat on the
Yeah,
cover?
this is the one where she's wearing a cowboy
I've seen
hat.
this one, but I for some reason I haven't listened to it yet.
It is great. It covers themes of love, loss, everyday wonder, and just some really delicate arrangements that are very beautiful.
Actually, I just did look. I do have the song "No Machine" saved
Yeah,
for some reason.
it's a good one.
So I like that album, but I guess I don't know if I listened to it all the way through.
Yeah, you should give it a. You should
Is
give
that
it a listen.
is "No Machine" like the main single from the album? I wonder.
I
I don't know how I heard that.
I don't know.
one, but
I listened to the album as a whole. I didn't really.
What was your favorite track?
My favorite track on it is "Ruined." Actually, the last track.
So much coming through every hour or two. Can't get enough of you. You come around, I'm ruined. You come around, I'm ruined. You gave me no answer, nor asked me to lie.
If you're a fan of folk music, then I would definitely give this a listen.
Cool. I'm definitely gonna listen to it because I like what she does, and I also like what she does with Big Thief too.
Oh yeah, I wanted to mention
she's the front woman for that.
singer songwriter for Big Thief, which is a great band.
Okay, so my number 3 is from the avant-garde rock band Horse Lords from Baltimore, Maryland. And this, I'm kind of cheating a little bit with this one. This is the live album that they put out this year. It's called As It Happened, Horse Lords Live. So it came out March 1st of 2024 through RVNG International. That's the label that it came out on. So this band, I'm actually happy because I forgot that they had released this in 24. So I was happy that they released an album. I was like, oh, okay, I got to put that down because last year they put out another amazing record. But this band consists of Andrew Bearston, who's on saxophone and percussion, Max Elbacher on bass and electronics, Owen Gardner on guitar, and Sam Haberman on drums. So I'm not sure where this album was recorded live at. I think it was just at one of their shows because you can hear people clapping in between songs. But this band's super interesting. If I was to describe it, I would call it kind of math jazz. So they're an instrumental band, but they're super focused heavy on rhythms. And it helps that they have the one guy that does percussion with the drums. Just super complicated stuff. It's not even necessarily, they don't have anything crazy melodic or anything like that. It's more focused on the rhythm and the interplay between all the different players. Super also influenced by African polyrhythms. The biggest thing that kind of sets them apart is they have a unique tuning system. They refret the guitar and bass into a certain tuning that's called just intonation, which basically is a tuning system that is split up into whole ratios and frequencies, and basically it's supposed to be harmonically like perfect. It's supposed to be like a perfect type of tuning.
Wow.
And so because of that weird tuning that they get all these very interesting, nuanced type of feels, and then mix that tuning in with all the different intricate rhythms, and you have a lot of interesting surprises that will happen. And I feel like, I don't know this for a fact, but I feel like when they write, they keep that in mind of having little changes be big changes in the songs. So definitely, if you're a fan of experimental avant-garde music, check this album out. If you're into math rock or jazz, or just interesting music, just listen to the band, like listen to all their other albums. I had the privilege of going this year with my friend Foster to Portland to see them perform, and it was amazing. We drove we drove 12 hours just to go see them, and then drive 12 hours back to Idaho because that was the closest place that they were playing. But I'm glad that we did. They're super tight as a band. They've been playing for a long time, and they don't really play like the guitar and bass are pretty clean for the most part. They don't use a whole lot of like pedals or anything crazy. It's honestly just being like just perfect and in sync with what they're playing, and I just love that. I was trying to decide on a song that I could pick that's my favorite, and it's really hard, but I'm probably going to go with the last track, Macaw. Showcases the intricate play of rhythms.
Cool. Very cool.
So please go check out
I'm
Horse
really
Lords.
excited to check these
Yeah,
out.
please go check
You're
out.
like telling me about these albums, and I'm like, dang, let's listen to it now.
Yeah, the Horse Lords. Like I tell people like, I can't stop telling people about Horse Lords. They're just so cool, and not enough people know about them. It might not be everybody's cup of tea, but that's why I wanted to add it on my top 5 for this year.
Yeah, nice. Well, my number 3 is a Dublin-based trio drawing from traditional Irish folk music and inspired by a trip to Eastern Europe. The group is Rufus Nightjar. We actually talked about this album, Songs for Three Voices. And this album is super compelling. It's a cappella. The voices are beautiful and haunting. And if you like Irish folk-inspired tunes, I know that's a niche genre. Or if you just like beautiful vocals, then definitely check this out.
Yeah, the harmonies are amazing.
Yeah.
And if you want a more in-depth like take on it, to go back and listen to our episode on it.
Yeah, it talks a lot. The album talks a lot about nature and folklore, and it's just really cool. And the song that I chose to highlight for this episode, which was one of my favorites from the album, is Jack Wither.
Deep as scars, sorrow's teeth were eaten, a Jack sold withered heart. He sang, oh, lily, lily, I miss your morning eyes, and I will love you only till the day I die.
Super cool song. I think when we talked about it back then,
That was one of my favorite songs
Yeah.
on the album, yeah.
I think it could, if people really gave it the attention it deserves, I think it could be like a modern day folk classic. That's how I feel about it. So, yeah, go check them out. Rufus Nightjar.
Love it. Okay. My number 2 is, I mean, if anybody knows me, this is no surprise, but my number 2 is from the British band The Smile and their album Cutouts, which was released this year on October 4th through the XL label. And if you don't know The Smile, this is the side project of Tom York and Johnny Greenwood of Radiohead with the UK jazz drummer Tom Skinner on drums. So The Smile have been around not even that long. I mean, just kind of like during like when COVID happened, they formed this band and they've already put out 3 albums. This is the most recent, and to be honest, this is my favorite of the 3 albums. This album incorporates a lot of different experimental, post-punk, art rock, a little bit of math rock, but not as much. But those are kind of the genres that kind of encapsulate this album. Tom York is one of my favorite musicians, and Johnny Greenwood is one of the most unique guitar players that I haven't seen, but that I've heard on albums. And Radiohead is such a huge inspiration to me as far as a songwriter, and I feel like they're always kind of pushing the envelope with whatever they do. They're always trying to find that new thing, that new sound, and I think The Smile and this album Cutouts, they do that perfect. Just a lot of great songs. I don't even know. I mean, this is like one of the albums where I can listen to all of the songs like all the way through, similar to Radiohead albums that I've listened to in the past. I mean, this isn't, they do their own thing. Like it is different from Radiohead, but you can still hear the influences of Tom and Johnny on the album. Yeah, it's interesting because Tom kind of takes over like bass duties and synth, and then Johnny's on guitar and also electronic type stuff. And I just like how they work together as a team. And then having Tom Skinner, like a jazz drummer on there, just gives a totally different vibe, a little more laid back type of feel. With Radiohead, Philip Selway, the drummer, he's a little more kind of like, I would say, like a drum machine, like very precise in what he plays. But Tom has a little more laid backness kind of feel, that I think gives an interesting difference between them and Radiohead. But yeah, all the songs on this album are super good. The lyrics are very heavy with what he's talking about. I mean, Tom has always been a lyricist that talks about the evils of society and of government, and kind of talking about just things that are wrong with the world as he sees it. Very satirical lyrics. That's what you're gonna find on this Smile album. It's super hard to figure out, which song I like. I mean, I really like Colors Fly, Eyes and Mouth, Body Language, No Words. But I think for this album, I'll pick Zero Sum. So please, if you haven't listened to this album, if you're a fan of Radiohead, check it out. And even if you're not a fan, listen to it anyway. And I hope you dig it, because I loved this album a lot.
My next album comes from a group with a career spanning 4 decades. They are very influential in the alternative music scene, and they have evolved a lot throughout their sound. I am talking about Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Nice.
With the album Wild God. Now, this album, you find Nick Cave at his really most introspective, and it's a softer vibe than what he's had in the past. Also, I would say ultimately the story of the album is ultimately more hopeful. And I would say it's an album about spiritual transformation. The album itself features lush orchestral arrangements with gospel influences and Cave's unmistakable deep voice. And it is a life-affirming exploration of resilience, love, and beauty, even while dealing with grief. And choosing a specific song was hard for me, just because I really liked a few songs on it. I really like 3 songs on it a lot: Joy, Final Rescue Attempt, and Conversion. But the song that I have chosen to highlight on the album is Conversion.
The old God drew her into him like a flame. I've never seen you so beautiful as that again. By the Spirit.
And I'm excited for you guys to be able to check this album out.
This is one that kind of similar to Adrian Lanker. I saw it and I haven't listened to it yet. But I know that this album inspired Cave a lot because of his son passing. He had a son pass away in 2022. I'm not sure if you knew that.
No.
But this is the next album like after that happened. So
That makes sense
I
why
knew,
it's dealing with grief.
I knew that it was going to be, I knew it was probably going to be heavy because he lost his son in he died in a car accident.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that on the news on NME. I follow that, and they talked about that. So yeah, I think I need to listen to
You'll
it for
have to
sure.
give it a-
Since
a
you're
listen.
putting it on the list, I'll have to listen
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
So now that you know that about his son dying, does that
totally
open it up a
makes
lot more?
sense. Yeah, that totally makes sense. And it's a profoundly beautiful album, and it, in the midst of that grief, still holds space for the beauty of the world and the transcendence that one can hope to attain. So one thing that I wanted to mention that I think is cool about the Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds album Wild God is that it features the bassist from Radiohead.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So adding to that cool soundscape that they have on this album.
Okay, so Colin, that's right. I think I did hear something about because Colin Greenwood, he did tour with them. I didn't realize he was on the album, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
Since he toured with them, huh? Cool. Little Radiohead connection there. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, so my number one, my favorite album of 2024. This is no surprise, but it's the new sound by Jordy Griep, which we talked about.
Well,
Couple episodes ago.
Heavens to Betsy. That's the same thing I chose
As your number one?
as my number one.
Oh, sweet. That is crazy. We picked the same album.
Yep.
So yeah, this album was released on October 4th and it came out through Rough Trade Records. And we've talked a lot about it on our previous episodes. So we'll just mention a few things here, but if you want to go back and kind of listen to our in-depth conversation on it, go back and listen to our episode on it. But yeah, this album is just awesome. It incorporates a lot of jazz rock, kind of Latin feel. We talked about in another episode, like a previous episode, that he recorded part of it in Brazil. So there's definitely a Brazilian vibe to the song. The songs lyrically deal with a lot of just kind of like these crazy characters that Jordy had kind of ran into, and it's very like a lot of the lyrics are misogynistic, but he's telling it through funny stories just to show how ridiculous some people
Yeah, it's
are.
very satirical.
Very satirical, and it's so funny.
It's showing the ridiculousness of it.
And it's so-
if you miss that,
Yeah.
then you think that he's embracing the misogynistic.
Which he's definitely not.
yeah,
so.
if you miss that, then this album's gonna rub you the wrong way.
This album's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely my favorite one. I've listened
Yeah.
to it so many times.
Super great.
So go out and listen to it for yourself. I think it's so hard to choose kind of my favorite song on the album. I don't know. What were you going to pick as your favorite song?
Blues.
Blues?
Yep.
You imagine a roaming camera that captures your melancholy. You walk the streets that stink of disease. You turn up your collar like James Dean. You put your right hand under your jacket and pretend you have a gun. You put your left hand under your jacket and pretend you're Napoleon. You squeeze your spots till they bleed. You turn your face so no one sees. Do beggars still play accordions? You should pay one to follow you around and play your...
I like a lot of the songs on it. I like Holy Holy. I like Through a War. I like The Magician. I mean, I could just keep going. But blues it's just such a unique, distinctive sound, and the lyrics are so interesting and satirical, painting a picture of this pitiful character.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a great song. So I guess I won't pick that song. I'll pick a different song just so we can get
Yeah.
like a different song for people to hear. Dang. I don't know. I really like Walk Up and Through a War and As If Waltz and The Magician. Those are like the other ones that I really like. But I guess for this, I'll go with The Magician just because it's super beautiful, and the character in this song is a little more real. Like, it's dealing with a breakup, but then later on you're almost like, wait, is he talking about a real person? And then it kind of like catches you off guard, which I kind of like. But it's also the music itself, like without the lyrics, this song is super beautiful. So I'll go with The Magician.
What's left of the lover who doesn't exist, who knows not how many fantasies involve her kiss? What's left of the dreamer who dreams and dreams and dreams and dreams and dreams, thinks he isn't dreaming, thinks he is free? What of the endless, heedless ennui? Will it leave me be? No, when the smoke clears, it remains your name. When the smoke clears, it remains. When the smoke clears, it rains.
Super cool album. Jazzy, show tuney.
Very theatrical. Like,
Yeah.
we were talking about it today. His voice is so... It's just funny that, we both chose it. So please go out and listen to this album. It's so good. And I'm excited because next year, me and Tabitha are going to see him perform in Portland.
Wow.
So
that's
I
awesome.
can get you a shirt if you want to.
That would be cool. That would be
Okay.
very cool.
All right, now let's move on to our top 5 favorite films that we've watched this year.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go or do you want to go? I went for the maybe let's have you go first because I did first for the albums.
Okay. So this is a 2011 film from the Duplass brothers, Jeff Who Lives at Home.
Yeah.
And I've seen this film before, but I've seen it once before.
Well, yeah, you did it for the podcast.
Yeah, but watching it over again, it just really surprised me. It's such a joy to watch.
Did you watch it again after our podcast?
No.
Okay.
No.
Which you haven't, go back and listen to our episode on this that we did with our friend Ernie.
Yeah, it's a heartfelt blend of comedy and drama. Jason Segel really shines in the role of Jeff, who is kind of a aimless dreamer who follows signs he believes will reveal his destiny. And it's a great, quirky film with emotional depth, explores family, fate, unexpected connections, builds to a pretty cool climax.
The ending is cool.
Yeah, we talk about this film in an earlier episode, so if you want to hear more about it, give it a listen.
I think this was a mixtape matinee favorite of the year. Yeah, cool. Go check it out. So my number 5 for this year is a movie called Pressure Point from 1962. This is a psychological drama that was directed and written by Hubert Cornfield, which I don't know if I've ever heard of him, but this movie stars Sidney Poitier and Bobby Darin. And this was kind of like a surprise for me discovery. I've never heard of this film before, and one day it was like my day off from work and I wanted to watch a movie, so I went onto the Criterion channel and this was on there. And I love Sidney Poitier. I love anything that he does. He's just an amazing actor and just very believable in what he does, and how he acts. But this is a movie about racism. I'll just do a brief kind of synopsis just so you guys can get kind of interested. But Sidney Poitier is a psychiatrist that works at a jail or a prison, and he basically kind of signs off on if people are fit enough to leave, to be kind of brought back into society. And there's this inmate played by Bobby Darin, which I think this was like the most surprising thing of the movie. Was I always think of Bobby Darin as the singer, but I didn't know that he was an actor. I didn't know that he was in any movies. Did you?
No.
I didn't know that he was an actor, and he surprised me. He's a really good actor, especially in this movie. But he plays a kind of a white supremacist type character that hates black people, and most of the movie takes place in Sidney Poitier's office, and it's just the two kind of talking together. And he's trying to convince Sidney Poitier, like, no, I'm not racist, like, I'm good, I'm not crazy, like, please let me like leave prison. And at first, like, Sidney Poitier doesn't really want to deal with this guy. But then as it goes on, anyway, like I said, it's psychological drama. There's a lot of interplay between these characters, and the screenplay is awesome. The dialogue is really good, and it deals with themes of racism. Because even today we deal with people like this. So yeah, if you like, if this is interest you at all, please go out and watch this film. It was a surprise to me, and I really liked it.
Yeah, I'll have to check this out for sure. My number 4 comes from a blend of French New Wave and noir from 1958, Elevator to the Gallows. It weaves suspense, romance, and misfortune, and it has to do with a murder plot gone awry. And there's kind of 3 plots that are threaded together throughout the film. And it is just really interesting, and definitely recommended if you like film noir or if you like French New Wave. And this is another one that we talked about on the podcast. So if you would like to listen to a more in-depth discussion of the film, then go back and listen to our discussion of
that episode. We also
Gallows.
talked about the really famous noir movie The Big Sleep.
Yes. Yeah.
So we kind of paired that with that movie. So
yeah.
And this was I really enjoyed this film. A lot of I think I said before, sometimes I don't like French New Wave type stuff, but this one I liked. I think it's because it has that noir kind of influence in there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, go check this out if you're into those type of films.
Yeah.
All right, so for my number 4, this was another discovery for me. It's one that we didn't talk about on the podcast, and I'm trying to remember how I heard about it, and I don't remember how I heard about it. I think it just popped up on. I think it just popped up when I was on HBO. I saw that it was on there. So this is a movie that you can watch on HBO. This was a TV movie that was made in Britain. So I think it came out on the BBC. But it's a TV movie from 2007, and it's called Stuart, A Life Backwards. This movie is directed by David Atwood, and it is based off of the book of the same name by Alexander Masters. This movie stars Benedict Cumberbatch and Tom Hardy. And Benedict plays the character, quote unquote, of Alexander Masters, and Tom Hardy plays the role of Stuart, and this is based off a book by this guy Alexander Masters, the author. It's about him kind of working as a social worker back in, it was either I think it was the 80s or in the 90s, and he met this homeless man Stuart who had a crazy life, had been on drugs, and basically what happens in the movie and in the book is some people get wrongly accused of something that they didn't do, and they get put in jail, and so a bunch of their friends, including Alexander, go and they protest the government to basically release them. And Stuart kind of tags along and kind of starts helping out. And then Alexander gets the idea like, oh, I should like follow this guy and write a book on him. Like he's very interesting and very interesting character. And after I watched this movie, I ended up going and I bought the book. And it's interesting because how Alexander writes the book is he literally writes the book backwards, as it says in the title. The book starts like when they meet. And then he basically tells the whole story of Stuart's life going backwards to when he was a child and then born. So, which is kind of cool.
That's cool.
And it's written, it's not written like a regular kind of biography. It's very much written almost like stream of consciousness, and almost like you're reading like a diary of Alexander and like what he experienced. But this movie is super good. I mean, it follows the events in the book to a T. There's a lot of things that didn't make it into the movie because, you know, the movie is only an hour and 30 minutes long, but Tom Hardy is one of my favorite actors. I think that's why it's probably how I found this movie, is I was probably looking through the movies that I hadn't seen of him. And this is when he's a little younger, and he's just amazing playing Stuart. And then Benedict Cumberbatch, he also plays it really well too. Just the acting is so interesting. And then the other thing that I really enjoyed about the movie is the kind of the commentary on society and how we treat homeless people. And it kind of gives an insight on the psyche of how a homeless person thinks and why they do what they do, through the eyes of Stuart, which he's just a really funny character. He's crazy, but he's also like lovable at the same time. It's kind of an interesting blend of that. So yeah, if this sounds interesting to you, go out and check it. It's on HBO right now. So it's an awesome BBC production movie. So.
Sounds super interesting. And I also really like Tom Hardy, so I'll have to check it out. My next film is another one we watched from Jonathan Glazer, the 2023 film The Zone of Interest, which is, like I said, we talk about it on the podcast in a previous episode. So if you haven't already, go back and listen to that. But it's about a family that lives just beyond the edge of Auschwitz. And the father is a commandant over Auschwitz. And it deals with themes of really devastating moral indifference. And it's really restrained storytelling with a haunting atmosphere. And it's a really profound examination of indifference in the face of evil. And it features sounds from the archives of the actual archives of that of Auschwitz, and that just adds to the impact that the film has on you. I think this is an important film. Cole chose it, and it's heavy subject matter.
Yeah, by the end, it's very emotional, and
it's a hard watch.
Which is interesting because you don't see anything.
Yeah,
but you're hearing it
in the background,
and you know what's kind of going on.
Yeah,
even if the characters are acting like
normal life.
they're totally oblivious to it. And I guess that's what's so unsettling about it.
Yeah. So I highly recommend it.
Cool, yeah, that's a good one. I mean, I know we talked about it on the episode, but watching that in the theater without knowing anything about it was such a awesome, terrifying, well, not terrifying, but just awesome, like, strong memory that I have, like, being in the theater and hearing those sounds on the loudspeaker is crazy. Okay, so my next film is a movie that I've had on my watch list for a long time. And me and Tabitha were supposed to watch it together, but then she ended up watching it without me. And so then I was like, dang it. So we ended up, she watched it again with me, but this is the Japanese comedy film from 1985, Tampopo. This is written and directed by Juzo Itami, and it stars Itsuma Yamazaki and also Ken Watabe's in it too, which you might know him from a lot of Christopher Nolan films. Have you ever heard of this movie before, Cortland?
Very vaguely.
Okay. Yeah, so Tampopo is actually it's a translation of the Japanese word meaning dandelion, which is like a nickname given to the main character. So really quickly, the movie is about this woman that has a ramen noodle shop, and it's really bad. Like, she's a really bad cook, but she's doing the best that she can to provide for her and her son. And what happens is some truck drivers come along, and they're like, "This is horrible. This is like," and then kind of gives her like, "You should do this, 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 and this, and it will like make it way better." And so through the process of the film, these truck drivers kind of help her out and help her learn how to make the best ramen noodle shop in town. And it's really funny. There's a lot of comedic aspects of it, and there's kind of like a love story that plays into it. But you really feel for this character and what she's going through, and it's kind of like a slice of life film too. But yeah, and to be honest, I haven't seen a lot of Japanese comedy films. You know, when I think of Japanese films, I think of really artsy films. I think of samurai films, but haven't seen a lot of like Japanese comedy. And I want to get into that more next year. I think that's kind of the movie watching goal that I have. I want to get more into the Japanese comedies because this was great. I mean, it's really funny and it's lighthearted. There's a good message with it. Yeah, it's just an interesting story and kind of a look into Japanese culture during this time in the 80s, where there's a lot of old traditions in the culture, but like there's like all these new inventions that are coming from Western culture because of technology, and you know the Japanese were kind of perfecting kind of the things that we were doing here in America. So it's kind of this blend that because you kind of see that Tampopo is almost kind of stuck in the past a little bit, but then. Yeah, so I don't know if that was part of it, but that's kind of what I got a little bit too, is like kind of like the commentary on that. And then I think it's also just about just being good and nice to other people, which is like a thing that I really like in movies. So yeah, if you haven't watched this, go watch Tampopo. It's a movie that's on Criterion, and I think it's also on HBO. So yeah, go check it out.
Cool. That definitely sounds like something I would like to watch. My next film is the 1987 film, which is all about angels, called Wings of Desire by Wim Wenders. And this is a really poetic film. It's like really meditative, and it's about like the nature of existence, love and longing. It's set in a divided Berlin, and the film follows two angels as they observe human life until one is captivated by a trapeze artist and falls in love.
This was also my number 2.
Really?
So I guess we picked the same number 2. So Yeah, I guess we'll just both talk about it.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you going to say more?
Well, I was just going to say it has really stunning cinematography. Mm-hmm. It's really a moving narrative, and it
has Nick Cave in it.
Oh
which
yeah,
we
it does.
talked about
It has
before.
Nick Cave.
It has
Yeah.
him as this was like right after he left the. I think it was during this time. Like it has the birthday party in there, but
Yeah.
he would go on to do his kind of solo stuff. But yeah, this movie is really great. I mean, when I was picking my 5, I was like, I got to put this on there because this was one of my favorites, and I'm glad that you picked it. I just really love German film. Come to find out this year through watching this, yeah, the cinematography, and then the use of color, like when he becomes a human, and
Yeah.
so yeah, it's really interesting. If you want to hear more about it, we did do an episode on this film, so. Go back and listen to that. I know we're probably saying that a lot,
Yeah.
but I think we're kind of just going over like these were the films that meant a lot,
Yeah.
and of course we would have talked about them on the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, this is just another opportunity to remind people if they haven't watched it yet, go watch it.
Yeah. That's crazy that we both chose it for our second top film of the year.
Yeah.
And speaking of German films, my number 1 film of the year
It's gonna be the same as mine, I bet. M.
from 1931,
Yeah.
M. This Fritz Lang masterpiece is chilling German cinema, following the hunt for a child murderer in a city gripped by fear. Peter Lorre delivers a haunting performance with groundbreaking use of sound. This psychological thriller delves into justice, morality, and societal paranoia, cementing its place as one of the greatest films ever made.
Yeah, this is my number 1 too.
Yeah, and really,
No surprise.
there's
to
a
be honest.
moment in it, which is when he's put on trial by the criminals, that really, really made it. Like that moment in the film is just so.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's like the first time that you really hear Peter Lorre really say much of anything.
Yeah.
Because most of the time in the whole movie, he's quiet.
Yeah, and that moment's just so compelling and interesting and
Yeah, and I was thinking about it later.
intense.
Like, when this movie was made, this was right before the rise of Nazism. And I think that I think that Fritz Lang was using this film as well to kind of, I think he was using this film to talk about the rise of Nazism and kind of how it was affecting the culture.
Interesting.
And I think, like thinking back on it, like how he's, using it through the story of a child molester. It's almost like the child molester represents Nazism. And I don't know if I'm going off on a limb there, but I think it definitely, if you look at this movie as far as like historical context, I think it makes sense, because what the Nazis would go on to do is just take over completely,
Yeah.
just take over their
Yeah.
culture and everything in society in Germany. But yeah, like Court said, I mean, the acting is amazing in this film. Sound, this was the first film that Fritz Lang did with sound, and he used it in an interesting way. There's a lot of shots where you hear dialogue that's off screen, but then he shows you visually the importance of certain things and it's just like totally ahead of its time, and like people around this
ahead of
time
its
weren't
time.
using sound the way that he was using
Yeah.
it, and then to use the whistle, to use the Hall of the Mountain King as a type of, to show you like when the murderer's coming,
Yeah.
just using that simple just that
Device.
simple trick, that device to showcase that was super important. And then that's like the sound, the song, the whistling, that's the thing that gets the murderer. That's how he gets caught, is because of that.
Yeah. By a blind man.
Yeah. And then, yeah, the cinematography is, anyway, we talked about it so much on our podcast, so go back and listen to it. But yeah, this was definitely my favorite movie of the year
too.
that I saw.
Me
For
too.
sure. This is definitely number one. That's why I put it at last. So that's cool that we both picked that.
The same top two.
So please go out and watch this movie. It's so good. I think it has a lot to say, and I think it is one of the best films ever made.
Yeah.
So, Cord, thanks for
This was super fun.
Thanks for a year of making podcasts.
Will
with
this
me.
be our 20th episode?
So it'll be our 20th episode.
Wow. And thank you guys for listening to us.
Thank you so much. This has been a fun year, and we're excited to keep this podcast going into the new year, into 2025. And we want to have more guests on, more different people to come on and share their thoughts on music and film. And if you guys have any suggestions of how we can do better, please message us. And again, like I said, please share the podcast with your friends, whether that's like sharing it through Instagram or Facebook, or even just like texting a link to our podcast. That helps us out a lot. And then just rating it. So I know that's asking a lot, but that'll help us out a lot and get the podcast to a lot more ears. So thank you guys so much. And have a great new year.
Happy New Year.